Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. These are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to catch the show live, see the in-between things. Every now and again, we will close out, we'll cut out a topic. You can see them all over here live. There you go. So you can catch the show, of course, or hey, you can just watch the edited down ones. That's kind of cool too. So we have our usual slightly shortened lineup for our holiday season. We have our, we have our privacy, security, data leaks, AI, business, and SillyVille news. So let's go ahead and get right on in. From Fox Rothschild, this is a law firm that does a lot with privacy compliance and things. And they don't publish a lot of articles, but when they do, they're usually interesting, at least interesting talking points. In this case, it says all pixels are not created equally. And I knew this would be a good article as we were doing our review of the articles with the supporters group. We were doing that on Wednesday this week. And a lot of people didn't understand the history. Why are these things called pixels and things like that? So these originally started, the very first use of these tracking pixels. The reason it's called a tracking pixel is because it was a 1 pixel by 1 pixel PNG image that you would embed into a web page that was basically, it didn't do anything more than just ping the server, which left behind the IP address. So the server could capture IP addresses by simply adding a tracking pixel. That's where they got their original names. And then what happened in here is people started recognizing the usefulness of some type of tracking data. Now, these things are still called pixels because of their historical name. However, nowadays they're not image pixels. Nowadays, they're usually complicated JavaScript libraries that can fingerprint your entire machine and follow you around the internet for as long as you allow the cookie to persist in your memory. This is why when Google was trying to knock out the cookies, they were battling other marketers that were not them, that did not want to get rid of the cookies, because it gave Google a distinct advantage, because Google convinced everybody that you had to perpetually be signed onto your account. So Google can follow you around with their own server resources, not with a cookie on your system. And then everybody else would be cut out, thus enriching Google with the data while cutting the knees off of all of their competitors at once. One of the reasons why that has not happened yet. And so with this, they're talking here about tracking pixels and people putting them in, but these are becoming very controversial in that the tracking pixels are allowing people to collect a lot more data. In many cases, the website owners do not even understand the level of data being collected. So they hire a web developer, usually some big agency or something. The developer company comes in and starts putting the site together. And then, of course, they have upsold this marketing package to make sure that their website gets views and people coming onto it. And so, of course, the only way to track any of that is to put in the pixels. And so they put in the Facebook trackers, the TikTok trackers, the Google Analytics, and then tons and tons of other trackers for other organizations. And therefore, as your website viewers are engaging in the internet, they're leaving behind these tracking pixels, feeding all of these different companies. Well, the problem is when those tracking pixels end up on more private or privacy protected areas like HIPAA elements, education elements, then you are sharing data that you shouldn't be sharing. And so there are a number of laws that are being looked at these, and it's getting to the point where the only way to protect yourself is to do something either on your local machine host file to block all these things, or the easiest solution is like EFF's Privacy Badger blocks a lot of these, where like AdBlocker may not block a lot of these domains, but Privacy Badger generally does. So you should look at adding that as an extension onto your web browsers. So that is a little bit about tracking pixels and how tracking on the web works. Speaking, though, of tracking, let's say, well, I'm not worried about tracking on the web. I just go to work all day. Well, your office might be full of tracking technology. And it's not just the things you think of. See, this is one of the reasons why you should keep the Bluetooth off on your phone unless it's actively being used. And even then, think twice about how much you're actively using it. Of course, in our modern world, they want everything to be connected with Bluetooth. So they want you to get used to your Bluetooth perpetually being on. And what happens is, as you are roaming around a store, for example, CVS was big into this, they would have various Bluetooth beacons around their store, and they can track people around their store and see where they are going, how they are moving throughout. And if you have the CVS app installed on your phone and have Bluetooth enabled, they can identify you as a customer as you are going through and push coupons to you. Well, workplace technology works a lot the same way. They will, obviously, security cameras is the big one people think about. Some of these cameras can do microphone work, but even beyond that, there is a lot of proximity trackers that may be tied to your ID badge that you're required to wear, which can track where you go inside of the building. So there is a lot of this type of stuff going on in the workplace. Now, this report, looking at it, had suggested a grand number of workplaces have this. Some people in some instances are able to resist it. Most are not. The biggest people able to resist it is schools. Some of this is parental pressure, of course, as schools wanted to have proximity sensors so the students could be tracked throughout the school. So effectively, you could see, how many times a student is using the restroom, for example. That got a little bit of pushback in some places, but there's other school districts that don't think twice about collecting this type of data, and even worse, passing all that data up into a server, which may or may not be well protected. But in this case here, they're talking about physical office spaces having hubs of surveillance where sensors and wireless technology monitors employees' movements and behaviors to keep track of office use and product and productive output. The article says, as offices become networked environments, there is growing desire among employers to exploit data gathered from their existing digital infrastructure. The study notes, while data collected can serve genuinely useful operational purposes, it can also include personal data about employees, raising privacy concerns. So this is one of those catch-22s. Obviously, you have to work, and how much latitude do you really have? If you're just starting out and you're crippled by $150,000 of student loan debt and you're an entry-level position, you have zero ability to walk into an office and say, I'm not doing this. You have all this tracking stuff. I'm going to go find something else. Well, the only option you have is to start your own business. And in many instances, that may or may not be a viable solution for a lot of different governmental reasons. For example, I've run my own businesses for 15 years. The self-employment tax is an absolute kick in the nards every single week, because it's like, you get income in, off the top, I got to pay 15% to the Social Security Administration, who 15 years ago sent me a letter saying it's going to be bankrupt by the time I get there. So I have to pay 15% of my income now that I could be using to, buy food in this crazy economy, to pay into a system which is effectively a Ponzi scheme the government is running to pay people now because they spent all of their money sending it over to give ICBMs to Ukraine, among other places. And it's a bunch of nonsense. So obviously I am in favor of examining everything that can be cut. And I think that if the first thing they can do is get rid of that stupid self-employment tax that I have to pay 15% off the bottom line of every dollar I pull in running this channel and my other businesses, yeah, that would go a long way towards, improving my own circumstance and, hey, maybe even hiring other people. But the problem is that not everybody has that ability. Not everybody can work from home. Not everybody can start their own gig. And so you are forced at some point in time to go into a job. And if you're going into a job who's engaged in all this networking spyware, and even worse, passing that spyware up to some corporate account who now you are a name and a number and they know who you are, who's to say a next big level VC venture firm isn't going to centralize all that data? So now they have, just like they have a credit score for your bank and they have a renter's credit score for how good of a tenant you are, now they'll have an employee's credit score where before you get into a job, you'll have to register for the system, and then they'll be able to track your ability to waste or not waste resources across multiple different jobs. if you just stole my idea for a business, you got to cut me in for 10% for the idea. I'm just telling you right now. This is a problem, and we need some solid regulation to prevent companies from doing this level of tracking on their employees. So, let me know what type of warm, fuzzy feelings you have now. And with that, let's have a look over at security news next. First up, a Russian group, Romcom, exploited a Firefox and Tor browser 0 days to target attackers in Europe and in North America. So this was a specific Windows issue. So if you are using either Firefox on Windows or the Tor browser bundle on Windows, and you were targeted among this campaign, it is possible that you have been breached through a 0-day exploit. And there were 2 of them combined together by this Russian group here. So they exploited these 0 days, and these were basically done by drive-by sites. You visit some site, maybe you're pushed onto some website, or you were phished to visit some website. You land there, and then with both of these different exploits, they would be able to move through one into the other, and then this would plant a Trojan on your system, allowing them a backdoor into your computer. So this was actually patched. Let's see. They report between October 10th and November 4th, 2024. Websites hosting the exploit primarily target victims in Europe and North America, with up to 250 victims per country. So very small attack vector. Just be aware this type of attack that is going on. And so here, of course, these have been patched, but just be aware of these types of things and update that software for security, especially if you're using like something like Tor, which is usually more of a high-risk browser anyway. Onto a new phishing scam seen in the wild. I don't know if this is necessarily a new one, or maybe it's just a resurfaced one. Just be aware it's coming back. And this one is a phishing system which is meant to look like it's from Apple, telling you that your Apple ID has been suspended. Now, the first thing that these guys said is just be aware that they have rebranded. It's no longer Apple ID. I think it's Apple Account, or was it Apple Account and now it's Apple ID? There has been a language switch that the phishers haven't caught up with, and I'm sorry, I don't use Apple products. I'm not sure which one it is. But scammers are always trying new tactics, so this one looks like it's coming from Apple. They are spoofing the reply to, or like return to sender type email to be the official Apple one. So if you look at that, at least one of the emails, it looks like it's genuine. So emails from Apple are no reply at apple.email.com. So they are kind of spoofing that. But the fact of the matter is, if you get something that says your account has been suspended by Apple, and it's like, click this link to unsuspend, don't fall for it. Of course, just like any other email like this you get, you never click the link that is in the email. If you question if your Apple account is suspended, go to your Apple device, log into your Apple device with the typical way that you might do that. And as you do that, what you will find is you're probably okay. So as long as you can still get into your device is not breached. So those phishers are coming back. And finally, we have a Bootkit for Linux systems specifically. This is called Bootkitty. Aww, good little kitties. Just don't listen to this good little kitty when this good little kitty here says that he got into your system. No. That's not the kitty we're talking about. Okay, that's a cute kitty. All right. So this one here, if I remember correctly, I think this one was targeting specifically Ubuntu systems. I could be wrong about that. So it is a UEFI bootkit specifically designed for Linux systems. The other thing that another thing in here is that they actually have forged their own keys as well. So if you turn on Secure Boot and your keys have not been overwritten by the hacker, your Secure Boot will block this. But if they have already gotten in and changed your your secure boot keys, then even if secure boot is enabled, they are still into your system. And what this basically means is they get into your system above the operating system, which means that they have a lot more full control over your system. So the attacker gets in at the system start. They're in here before the UEFI boots the whole system. Basically, you are going to be in here above anybody else. So these types of things are happening. Just be aware of that. So if we see some legitimate updates, like through your distro, definitely update that. They're probably fixing or solving some issues. They say keep your systems safe from such threats. Make sure your UEFI secure boot is enabled and your system firmware and OS are up to date, and so is your revocations list. So an update might add this to the revocations lists. So just be aware there is a new one of these coming on down the pipeline. Isn't that exciting? Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we're highlighting Pro Writing Aid. They have a Black Friday deal. I believe this is going on until at least Monday, but it is happening very soon. So you can get 50% off Pro Writing Aid using my affiliate code TLM.li/PWA. I use this to run my writing in at least one of the checks before things go to print, which of course, if you're waiting for this month's short story, it's not going to be out this month. My apologies, guys. I'm taking a little slower over the holidays, and I had to rewrite a few things. But that story will run through Pro Writing Aid before the story is out. You can expect it in the first week or so in December, and then we'll get another one out at the end of the month as well. But anyway, if you pick up the lifetime code, you can get a one-time premium of $400 or a premium pro there you go. There's your another 50% off coupon. One time of $700. I think it's half of this price. I can't remember exactly. I think it is half of this price. Of course, you can go with purchasing it yearly or purchasing it monthly. Now, my coupon code is always going to give you at least 20% off. The Black Friday deal is a 50% off of the lifetime options. So TLM.li/PWA for Pro Writing Aid. And with that, we are going to move on over to data leaks next, because we have some. Of course, this one, is it a data leak or is it not? T-Mobile has been hacked again. Kind of getting sick of this, really. Are they winning? I think it's T-Mobile and Yahoo are in the leading contenders for the amount being hacked. But T-Mobile has come out and said there's no access to customer call and text message logs. Well, that would actually be a first for T-Mobile. T-Mobile, the regularly hacked mobile company, constantly has hackers in there. It's like, do they have any security going on at this company at all? I just don't know. I'm very saddened by the fact that Mint Mobile has purchased them. But the good news about Mint Mobile is you can actually run your Mint Mobile account, without giving them your real name. So I know, trust me. But with that being said, of course, their security officer comes out and says, we think we've been hacked. We have identified some hackers, but they didn't get any of our stuff. Sure, they didn't. Yeah. Just be aware. These they're the same Chinese hackers that have successfully infiltrated AT&T and Verizon and got customer data. And so do we expect that they got into T-Mobile infinitely less secure and didn't get data? I'm not holding my breath. Just assume, guys, just like anything else, your call records, the U.S. government had it. Now the Chinese government has it. We may as well just publish these things to the world, right? Maybe let's just publicize in blockchain the metadata of our phones. Of course, I'm kidding. We don't want to do that. But T-Mobile does allege no access was granted. And that is based on, I don't know exactly. That is their claim anyway. Do I know for sure? No. I'm just going on past precedent here. All right. And finally, a data broker. Yet another reason we need to ban data brokers entirely. You see, if anybody has any data that I didn't do business with on their servers, immediately shut the business down, dissolve all of their assets, and send everybody home. Maybe that'll get them to stop engaging in this practice, or you can just close down the data brokers. This data broker exposes 600,000 sensitive files, including background checks. Of course, they were on an S3 colander. That is an S3 bucket that is full of leaky holes. I just like to call those S3 colanders. 713 gigabyte S3 colander that did not have any password protection. The data was left unencrypted, and anybody who stumbled upon them could read the files. Not only did they contain people's vehicle records, license plate and VIN numbers, property ownership reports, criminal histories, and background checks, the majority of the records were labeled as background checks, contained full names, home addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, employment history, family members, social media accounts, and criminal record history. Data brokers collect and sell your information, including financial, personal behavior, and interests for profit. You see, this entire industry needs the firm, swift hand of Doge. Wipe it out. Wipe it out. So, of course, DMVs are involved in this. DMVs, they make up some extra money by selling your data to these companies who then package it and organize it and then leave it on S3 colanders unencrypted for anybody to see. I think this is the one that when they found it, it took them like several days to actually remove information, because it just, the problem with these companies is they live in this world where they don't want anybody to know who they are. And so getting a hold of them is very difficult. This, by the way, is funny. To make things worse, if possible, files had the names of the following format: first, middle, last, state, pdf. Makes it incredibly easy for anyone, whether they are supposed to have access to it or not, to find a person of interest and read that file. Isn't that exciting? So, oh, wonderful. This is exactly the problem with some of this kind of stuff. All right. So with data leaks out of the way, I think we are moving on over to AI news next. So first, in AI can now clone your personality in only 2 hours. It's a dream for deep fake scammers. Now, the good news is this isn't like scraping data off of the web. Like, somebody might try and take my personality off this. I'm sure there's other AI that can do this, but the particular AI they're working with here, this was actually based on doing those psychological profile interviews, and then they could do something after a couple hours. So they had a study. 1,052 participants were asked to complete a 2-hour interview, which covered a wide range of topics from their personal life story to their views on contemporary social issues. The responses were recorded, and the script was used to train generative AI models or simulation agents. Doesn't that sound like something from the Matrix? My simulation agent is here. Great. I'm just going to hire my simulation agent to do my work for me. I'm going to be reading a book in the corner. How's that sound? All right. So to test how well these agents could mimic their human counterparts, both were asked to complete a set of tasks, including personality tests and games. Participants. That's what happens when I add like sodium chloride to, something else. Anyway, participants were then asked to replicate their own answers in a fortnight later. Remarkably, the AI agents were able to simulate answers with 85% accuracy. So 85% of the job. Sure, I'll take that. What's more, the simulation agents were similarly effective when asked to predict personality traits across 5 social science experiments. There you go. So there you go. You have a double agent. Now, of course, you could, scan your face and all this kind of stuff. There you go. So, there you have it, guys. Just be aware that now your personality can be cloned. So your voice can be cloned, your likeness can be cloned. Now your personality can be cloned as well. Interesting. Interesting world we are in. Interesting world indeed. All right. So Amazon, Google, and Meta are pillaging culture, data, and creativity to train AI, an Australian inquiry finds. So among the report's 13 recommendations is a call for the introduction of standalone AI legislation that protects creative workers. The problem we have here is that when robots first came out, people were going, oh boy, our job's going to be taken over by the robots. And there's some truth to that. The challenges are like, well, there will always be a need for smart people jobs. Well, the AI is now taking over the smart people's jobs at a higher, more precedented rate than the robots can take over the non-smart people jobs. for lack of a better word. And so the entirety of our society on both ends is being slowly chipped away by the AI monstrosity. And it's getting to the point where some of these systems have this brilliant plan. Let's just hire the AI to do the simple stuff. We'll bring in the smart person for the complicated stuff. Well, I got news for these companies. The smart people that know how to troubleshoot the things at the highest level got that way by practicing on the lowest level. A good example, if you were to contact somebody and be like, I need a WordPress website, you would get 155 bajillion people crawling out of the woodwork who are WordPress experts, meaning that they simply have the ability to go onto any random control panel, push the Softaculous button for WordPress, and install some garbage paid theme off of Envato. Not a damn one of those people, if you inquired them on 3 different aspects of the WordPress codex, could give you a single answer about what's going on. Whereas me, I have been building WordPress sites on the codex level for 15 years. I can tell you more about the underpinnings of a WordPress site than anything else. So when I hear someone's like, well, this marketing agent, he's going to give us the login for the WordPress website so we can make some changes. I tell my clients, nope, I'm not giving them that access because they don't know what they're doing. Trust me, I know. Now, what does this mean? Well, this means that when we have some problem like, okay, when a WordPress website is skipping its scheduled posts, what's causing that to happen? Well, too many memory issues are going on in the background as a person hits the site right around the time the thing is supposed to be. Too many processes happen. It causes the server to crash out and it misses the scheduled post. What is the fix for that? Well, you need to go into the WordPress using WordPress codex, access the WP config file, remove the WP cron, and then set a manual cron on the server itself. It solves it 100% of the time because you're running the cron on a schedule, not the stupid way WordPress does it, runs the cron job when somebody hits the site. But the point being is that I've learned how to troubleshoot all of these things over 15 years of dealing with the small level things. You can't get to the point where you know WordPress as well as I know it without doing the 15 years experience I have. So if we're handing off all that low-level stuff to the AI person, you will not have, in a generation, you will not have a level of people that can deal with the problems. This is what causes idiocracy to occur. And that is what the Australian government is arguing, is that with too many creatives being replaced by AI, we are going to lose the ability. Now, it's one thing to lose the ability of a person to paint a pretty picture. It is another thing altogether to talk about a person who has the knowledge to deal with a deep level server problem. Those are two distinct different things. And what Australia is concerned about is a high risk for the creative workers who are experienced in this kind of stuff. And so the challenge is how do we rein in AI without seriously damaging every aspect of our society? And that's the problem. We really can't, because it's going to become the biggest game of whack-a-mole you've ever encountered in your life. But it's a question that needs to be addressed. And that is certainly an interesting thought. So with that, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a new book. This is Code Red. This is the collection of short stories from last year. And in the book Code Red, we look at the dark side of tech. See, everyone's always telling us about the latest and greatest technologies. They give us all of the utopian ideas by which these things are going to save the planet. The challenge is we are a people that will always naturally gravitate toward the negative. And this is not a negative book. It is a warning about how much, it's definitely a warning about the dangers of embracing some of these technologies too quickly without any specific oversight. So 10 short stories about the dark side of tech. This is available in a print book, ebook, and audiobook, and you can pick it up anywhere where you buy any of those types of books online. This is the basic page. You can pick it up directly from us here, or you can find a number of different links where you can find it, and we do have a audio sample. The first 5 or so minutes of the book is available down there to listen to as well, if you want to hear what the audiobook is going to sound like. And you can have a look at the cover and the internal contents over here. So you can have a grand look at all that kind of stuff. TLM.li/code red. And with that, let's have a look at business news next. First up in business news, EV range anxiety could be a thing of the past thanks to Mercedes' new solar paint, which promises thousands of free miles per year. I'm really interested in this. There was not a lot of technical details, me being a solar power guy. If you have just tuned in, I live mobily on the road. This whole thing, I'm in a studio in the back of a cargo van right now, guys. Isn't that kind of cool? The cool things we can do in this modern age. But I have 500 watts of solar on my roof, 200 amp hour lithium ion battery here, lithium iron phosphate battery here, difference there. And, I run this thing off of solar power. Well, actually, I'm plugged into my friend's wall right now because this time of the year, solar power is kind of hard to come across. But anyway, this is kind of cool because they have a solar paint they were able to paint. And even in Germany, which is not the best, most ideal place for solar, they were still able to apply this paint and get enough miles that a typical commuter in Germany, the power they got off of even a cloudy day in the sun was enough to power their car. They didn't even have to plug in at all. This is the game changer in EVs. Now, if you got this in American cars, you get this, that type of paint, and then maybe get rid of that creepy spyware stocking stuff that all these cars seem to have, I'd be like, I'm all for the EVs then, right? Now, you couldn't do it nearly as well as maybe we have, the problem you still have is if you have to do a lot of driving a day, you're not going to. But they're talking about roughly 18 miles is what they were able to do here. So the company's record-breaking EQX concept. So the rolling lab that drove more than 620 miles on a single charge used a small solar panel on the roof that added about 18 miles of additional range during one of its long-distance attempts. The breakthrough in the photovoltaic treatment means much more of a vehicle could be covered, equating to a much greater increase in EV mileage. So instead of just having small solar panels, or in my case in my van, I have, now I actually can expand my solar panels. I could put an extra 100 watts on my roof. The way my van is built, I have room for an extra 100 watts. I might be able to do an extra 150 watts if I do a half panel, because I have like a 1/3 panel left, and the back of my roof is a 100 watt panel instead of a 200 watt panel. I have 200 watts on the front. I have a 100 on the back. I still could replace that 100 with a 200, give me 100 more watts, and I could add an extra 50 up there as well, and bringing this total amount of solar up to 650. Why don't I do that? Well, the first is I would need a much bigger charge controller than I have, and that's an extra $400 more expensive than the one I already had. That's one of the reasons I did not do that. The other reason is, the expense, 500 was enough. 650 would be better. I would actually be in a lot better shape if I were able to do that, but at this time, not necessarily in my budget. However, if I could get this type of thing, paint the whole roof with this solar paint, and then the only obstructions we have are just the little gadgets up there, the solar charging cables. I have an omnidirectional antenna up there. I have the roof van, things like that. Man, I could actually get a whole lot more. So in this case, what they were able to say is they claim 11 square meter surface and 20% solar efficiency of the technology would be enough to generate 7,400 miles of motoring per year somewhere sunny like Los Angeles. So, of course, Los Angeles is sunny more often than it is not. That would be a huge game changer. Anywhere down in that area, in the deserts, anywhere that gets a lot more sun, you could actually have viable electric cars thanks to solar paint. So that's kind of cool. Of course, they were actually able to get this working well in Germany, which sees a lot more cloud than sun. So that's cool. I see the same thing. In the summer, even on a cloudy day, I can still get in enough power to run things. Super cloudy days with rain, not so much if it's super dark. But there is that. Now we have a new Christmas movie. Add this to your list of horrible Hallmark films. So the new Christmas movie is free to watch on Roku, but it is an interactive show allowing you to team up. So if you have your Roku channel synced with your Walmart account, you can simply be paying attention to the movie and buy things that are on the screen. So now we will actually have the type of things that we'll see on like, what was the Jim Carrey movie, right? I'm forgetting the name of that one now, right? The Truman Show. So, you got some scene going on and then all of a sudden, would you like some hot chocolate, Truman? This is the best cocoa made from the best Brazilian beans. It's like, who are you talking to? So you'll actually get movies that are playing out like that. And you can be like, oh, I want some hot chocolate. And you pick up your phone because you're a phone addict. Click the button. I want the hot chocolate. And it'll automatically charge your account. And then you're going to get hot chocolate in the mail. Maybe if they get this fast enough, you'll have a drone delivering you hot chocolate within 10 minutes from the local Walmart warehouse distribution center. Imagine that, guys. That you're watching the sappy Hallmark film on TV and it starts promoting you hot chocolate. You're like, I want hot chocolate now. I don't have hot chocolate. But you pick up your phone, you push the buy hot chocolate button, Walmart collects your money, a drone is deployed, and 20 minutes later, you can have a hot, steaming hot chocolate right in your hands. This is amazing. And it's quite a bit creepy. It's something I'm not a customer of this crap. This is called Jingle Bell Love. It sounds like a Hallmark movie. Excuse me. I had to vomit. That just sounded like a Hallmark film. All right. So Jingle Bell Love is currently streaming on the Roku channel, one of the best free streaming services. It stars Joey McIntyre, a member of the boy band New Kids on the Block. So they're targeting the ladies about my age. The white stuff, Oreo, what's in the middle? The white stuff. All right. Anyway, he plays a single father visiting his late wife's hometown where he finds love in an unexpected place. So, yeah, the type of feel-good, sappy romance. Excuse me. Oh, I got to get off of this article. This is... wash that down. Buy now. Over here. This coffee cup. Shop.switchlinux.com. All right. Anyway. Too bad you can't click a button for that, right? But it's not your average movie. It's interactive. It will allow viewers to buy products from Walmart on their TV during specific parts of the story. See, if you've ever seen a movie and said, hey, I want one of those, now is your chance to be in the Truman Show yourself. How do Jingle Bell Love's interactive elements work? Reaching into the TV and taking something like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is not quite there. Of course, Walmart, they might be working on those drone deliveries. Come on. Prior to the Jingle Bell Love, the supermarket trialed social media rom-com series Add to Heart, which added 23 episodes released on TikTok, Roku, and YouTube last December. This must be a brain-dead show. Clearly, not a lot of work went into this, as even some of the best Netflix shows don't have 23 episode run. This is true. So, what they say down here during each minute-long episode, dear God. It's only 23 minutes long, though. I don't know. We saw a bunch of products like an elf lip gloss and a drone, and YouTube description had link to buy products featured in the episode. According to Business Insider, they're going one step further with Jingle Bell Love. They feature a feature-length movie, and Walmart will make it easier to buy products seen on the screen by enabling account connections between Walmart and Roku so the payment information can be filled out automatically. Feedback based off Add to Heart suggested it was too much work to buy stuff. Yeah, that's not SillyVille yet, people. We still have SillyVille yet to go. That's probably a candidate for SillyVille, but Lord. That's what's coming soon to business, folks. You're going to have interactive shows that allows you to buy stuff. Pretty soon, you'll just be able to say, like with a voice print analysis, I want that. And then your TV microphones will pick it up and just charge it to your account, and the drone's going to deliver it to you. if it's not here in like 30 minutes, you're going to have a conniption fit. Where's my hot chocolate? Oh, boy. All right, well, according to the FTC, smart gadgets that fail you to commit to software support could be illegal. This is according to the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. Now, I'm a terminal geek. I read the act last night. I actually don't see how this is a violation. Believe it or not, as frightening as it is. One of the reasons is the act does not require a company to announce how long something is going to last. In other words, if you want to sell an oven and you buy it and bring it right home and it does not function as an oven, then it violates the implied warranty clause. You purchase an oven, it should behave like an oven. But nothing in the Warranty Act requires that the oven must work for an oven longer than the moment you take it out of the box. In other words, if your oven breaks in 5 minutes later, well, 5 minutes, you can probably get it back. But let's say it breaks in 60 days. The Warranty Act does not have anything to say about that. There's no implied warranty of how long an item lasts. So what the way the act is written, however, is to encourage competition. So if you have two refrigerator companies and one of them sells refrigerators that routinely break after 30 days and the other one sells refrigerators that routinely last longer than 30 years, because of the Warranty Act, consumers are going to gravitate towards the one that lasts longer, invariably every single time. However, the Act does not specify how long something has to last. And unless the software companies specified that this product will be available for 5 years, they do not actually have to. And so according to the reading of the Act, which I did last night, Spotify's car thing, unless they released it by saying that this thing will function for a number of years, they are not in a violation of terms to cancel the product after 11 months like they did. Now, if you open that up and it has a 3-year warranty, then yes, they are violating the act if the software can't keep up. And so there is some question about it, and it boils down to, does the manufacturer actually include information on the act or not? And that is really what the situation has to say. However, the FTC comes out and questions some elements about software because the act was not written with the idea that there's cloud-connected software connected to any of these things. And that really is where the conflict of the interpretation is. Effectively, we just need an update to the act for the modern cloud-based world. However, implicit in the act, we have an implied and expressed warranties. There's nothing in there that forces a manufacturer to say such and such a product will last a certain amount of time. It doesn't exist in the Act. In fact, to the contrary, the Act specifically says nothing in this Act requires them to say there's a certain amount of time. However, the FTC mentions in their report, they said the FTC released a statement after examining 184 smart products across 64 product categories, including soundbars, video doorbells, breast pumps, smartphones, home appliances, garage door openers, controllers, shrimp gump, peanut gump, and never mind, I'm sorry. That was going to be a bad joke, and I just can't do that scene in Forrest Gump that well. Anyway, among devices researched in the majority, or 163 to be precise, did not disclose the connected device's support, duration, and date on the product webpage, per the FTC's report, contrasting 11.4% of devices examined share a software support duration at the end of the product. The problem is, as I said, I read the Act specifically looking for this. Nothing in the Act says a product must last a certain amount of time. Nothing in the Act says so. So unless they have said this product will last 3 years, they're not violating it if they shut it down after 1. That's the problem. But anyway, the FTC report concludes, or goes on, I should say. Some used ambiguous language that only implied a level of support provided, included phrases like lifetime technical support as long as your device is fully operational, and continuous software updates, for example. Notably, staff also had difficulty finding the product web pages finding on the product web pages the device's release date. Once again, the Warranty Act has nothing to do with any of this crap. I actually think a brain-dead person at the FTC wrote this report. I actually think it is. Now, do I find this atrocious? Yes. Do I think the Act needs updated for the modern cloud-connected world? Absolutely. But is the way the Act is currently written, nothing in this FTC statement is a violation of the law. That's how stupid the law is. Maybe we can get the Act rewritten. I don't know. So they said they sometimes found glaring inconsistencies. One device product page said the device featured lifetime support, but the search point resulted to the manufacturer support page, indicating that, well, other updates may still be active. The security patch for this device stopped in 2021. So in this case, if they say the device featured lifetime support, that is now a warranty. So now we have to define, what does lifetime mean? So classically, what lifetime meant was the duration of the reasonable period of time the original purchaser purchased it. So in that one device where they mention a lifetime of support, that could be a violation of the Act. The question is, what does lifetime mean? Because what if the processor chips inside of there are not able to handle the modern updates? Well, it has exceeded its lifetime then. And so it begs that question. Here's where they talk about being potentially illegal. In the report, FTC encouraged law enforcement and policymakers to investigate whether vendors properly disclose software support commitments. Government agency warned that not informing shoppers about how long products and warranties will be supported may go against the Act. It doesn't. Okay, this is what the report says. The law requires that written warranties on consumer products costing more than $15 be made available to prospective buyers to sale, and that warranties disclose a number of things, including a clear description and identification of products or parts or characteristics or components, properties covered by and necessary for. The problem is that is not true. The law does not require a written warranty on a consumer product over $15. I could not find that language in the Act. And I read the Act from the FTC's webpage. It's not there. Yeah. If I'm wrong, find it and link it to me. Because I read the Act several times with a friend. We're geeks. Sorry. Right. FTC research follows September letter from the agency from 17 groups, including iFixit, Public Interest for Research Group, Consumer Reports, and Electronic Frontier Foundation, imploring the FTC provide clear guidance on making functions of the device reliant on embedded software that ties the device back to manufacturers. Okay, I'm going to completely agree with these 17 groups. Something has to be done. The problem is the Warranty Act does not address cloud-connected devices. And that's what we need. We need an update and clarification on the rules, which is not up to the FTC to do. It is up to Congress to act. Okay, it is up to Congress to pass these. The FTC is just an agency. They can't create laws. Well, they're not supposed to create laws, we should say. Hopefully, we will see some cleaning up of that soon. But it is Congress that has to act. So Congress has to take up the Warranty Act and add amendments to it to account for the modern era. I think that they should say, if you're creating a cloud-connected device, it must be available for this many years. It must carry with it this type of warranty. And hey, how about this one? After any device, after you can no longer support it, it must be open sourced to the world to be able to do something with. I think that would be a good approach as well. And so it is very true that these 17 people are speaking right, but there is nothing in the Act that addresses cloud-connected devices. So as it stands, according to the interpretation of the law, it does not appear that the smart devices are illegal, but they should be. And that's really the point we need to get to. Well, let me know your thoughts to that. Of course, stick around because we are going to SillyVille next. First up in SillyVille, we have a new app. This guy, a Ukrainian guy, I think he was a Ukrainian guy. I can't remember for sure. I'm sure I'll spot it here in the article. But he's battling this cell phone addiction, a common ailment in our modern day. And so what he does is he creates an app that requires you to provide a reason every time you unlock your phone. So if you want to pick up your phone, it's going to ask you, why do you need it now? Tools, communication, boredom, or you can enter your own thing. And I'm not sure what the 3-minute is down there. How long will the phone be active? I guess. I don't know. So he says here, the international phone usage is Intentional phone usage is a tricky habit to develop. Operating systems like iOS and Android, along with social media networks like Instagram and TikTok, have built-in timers, nudges, and controls around app usage for the apps or the platform. But at times you mindlessly unlock your phone like a brain-dead zombie. And getting rid of this, you have to... I keep on messing up my jokes today, guys. At times, you mindlessly unlock your phone like a brainless zombie as a force of habit to eventually do nothing or scroll timelines. To get rid of the habit, Ukrainian developer Yaroslav Nezenarako, I think, Mr. Y, we'll call him that, has built an Android app called Intenti, which will nudge you to provide a reason you need to do an action, like breathing or stretching every time you unlock your phone. Okay, so it'll nudge you for a reason or to do some action. Okay, you want to unlock your phone? You got to take 3 breaths. I just need to call 911. Nah! Take 5 breaths first, pleb. All right. He started thinking about the problem in 2019. He spent a lot of time on his phone. I found myself checking my phone too much, email, social media, news. I tried screen time limits, focus modes, and app blockers, but they were rather frustrating, more frustrating than helpful. And I got the idea, what if I had to state and evaluate my intention before using the phone? That's where it all started. As a prototype, I even had to write my intentions in the notebook every time I needed my phone, and it worked for me. So he released the original version in 2020, has a limited number of usage of asking questions about why they're unlocking your devices. He also developed an iOS version, but realized the platform had many limitations. Eventually, the project stalled until 2023. He rebranded the app, focused on Android because ChatGPT was new release at the time. He decided to ask people about their intentions of using the device in a chat-styled interface when they unlocked the phone. So every time you pick up your phone, you have to actually unlock it or engage in a chat with it to say why you're going to unlock it. So here's nudges, here's your necessity, and here's your history. It shows you the history of your answer logs and the number of times you unlock the phone. It is free, but you can pay $1.99 per month to unlock scheduling for nudges, a hard mode that forces you to enter the reason, and a lock button to lock your phone from the nudge screen. There you go. So there are other apps which can do similar things, but, you know. So there you have it, guys. If you need this app, there is probably going to be a smart device anonymous group somewhere around for you to join. All right. This guy here tried to bring his memories to life with AI and found it works better with dogs than with humans. So, of course, he had this wonderful picture. Oh, isn't this a cute picture? Well, what would happen if I would to animate this picture? So here he is. He's animated his picture with his puppy dog. Isn't that great? You see the little dog tail. He's all happy. He's just kind of looking around space or whatever else. Not doing much else, but, you know. Now, that's just a little bit kind of cute. Isn't it neat? Now, unfortunately, when it came to human beings, we get the devil child. Just watch those hands, folks. I'm coming to take you over. Of course, the face is pretty good. It's just those hands, dude. That's unsettling. So, yeah, let's not let AI take over because that's kind of frightening. So here you go. MyHeritage presents live memory. Turn your photos into an amazing video clip. Oh, here's their promo. I don't see any devil hands there. There you go. There you go. Oh, yeah, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? How wonderful. No. Kind of terrifying, really. I'm coming to get you, my pretties. And speaking of coming to get you, the Alexa device predicts the date that America will end. Now, there's questions. Is this genuine, or was this device programmed to say this right before the camera was turned on? There is certainly some question about it. However, what's interesting is the device was asked, I don't think I can play that one. I think that's going to be blocked. But the device was asked when the end of the world is coming. Let's see if this actually has it.
31.
On February 20th, 2031, the United States of America ceases to exist.
Okay, so according to the system, on February 20th, 2031, America will cease to exist. Now, when probed further, the reason it says is that a coalition of governments is going to join that does not necessarily meet the approval of the population, which sounds very interestingly like what happens in the book of Revelation. Is it 10 nations to be specific? 10 horns on that last head is a very interesting picture. So accordingly, Alexa said this. Now, again, nobody else has been able to get this other than this initial video. So what's really going on here is a good question. That being said, however, as soon as the video went viral, Amazon acted quickly and got rid of it. So is this a true global cabal of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and the one world government under the Antichrist? You know, the 10 horns formulating the coalition of the government of the New Rome? Or is this Alexa just doing something or pre-programmed? I don't know. But anyway, mark your calendars now, folks, because Alexa has predicted the end of America, not the world, the end of America, February 20th, 2031. Interesting how it didn't say something like January, January 20th, 2025, you know. All right. But anyway, that's exciting. Good feelings are gone. Well, if you want to help support the channel, you can join me over on Patreon, patreon.com/TOMM. We have our short stories. We have our products as well. You can pick up the copy of Code Red over there on Patreon as well. Of course, if you are a paid user, $5 and up, you can get access to that already. If you are $1 or free member, you can pick it up at that cost. So with that, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.